With that, the game begins and we meet our first NPC, Diego. He gives us a very basic rundown on the political situation in the barrier. There are 3 major factions in the camp. The Old Camp are the biggest and strongest faction. They're the guys we see in the opening cutscene that rebel and take over the prison. Diego is part of this gang, and he suggests us to join up with them with the promise of protection and free meals a day. The Old Camp is run by Gomez. He's the guy that started the rebellion and now sits atop the throne. The second faction are the New Camp. They used to be part of the Old Camp, but split since they didn't agree with Gomez's tyranny. While the Old Camp are content with just sitting and waiting for this to blow over, the New Camp are actively seeking for a way to escape the barrier. And finally, they're the Sect Camp. They're religious potheads. They smoke weed, and this allows them to contact their god, the Sleeper, who they believe will free them from the barrier. Also, they do magic. No matter how we respond to Diego, the first chapter of the game begins, and we're set loose. Now, the first thing you'll probably notice about the game is the controls. It's interesting to say the least. If you're using the Union patch, you have the option to rebind your controls how you see fit. But back then, you could essentially play Gothic without a mouse. For me, I'm using alternative controls. I find this option a nice middle ground of sorts. The main thing you need to remember is the control key is king. Control does everything in the game. Picking up items, moving items between inventories, combat. You'll be pressing the control button a lot in this game. The interesting about this is that it doesn't feel weird once you play it for an hour or so. It feels really natural, and I'm not even saying this in a Stockholmy way. To a modern gamer, this may seem clunky and unconventional, which, yeah, it kind of is, but Gothic kind of makes it work with how concise its controls are to handle. Today, games are pretty streamlined to have one button for a specific action. Now you basically need to get used to pressing one button to do a lot of your actions. Another interesting quirk with the controls is combat. It's finicky. The attack keys are binded to your movement keys. You draw your weapon with the spacebar, and to attack, you press Ctrl A or D in arrhythmic swings. The issue here is you can't move at all when attacking unless you're doing an overhead attack, Ctrl plus W. Your movement grinds to a halt when you are engaged in combat. You can't move and strike at the same time. You have to commit to one action at a time in quick succession. Combat can be fun when you're engaging with one enemy at a time. Unfortunately, combat usually involves hordes of enemies charging at you, Senator Armstrong style. My only advice for you in this situation is to space them out with their clunky AI and take them on one by one. Okay, now that we've gotten the hang of the controls, we can head down the mountain pass to the Old Camp. It's here we see the scale this game works with and how it lures players to explore the world. The first thing you see when walking down the mountain is the massive walls that surround the Old Camp, so obviously you go and check that out. Along the way, you'll meet 2 hunters from the New Camp who basically tell you the same thing Diego warned us. Don't go into the forest. Especially at this point in the game. Everything can kill you. You'll probably have killed a junior mole rat and some mini scavengers by this point, and so you think to yourself, I should be able to handle their adult variants. No. Animals, especially early on, are your biggest obstacle in the way of progression. The areas in Gothic aren't sectioned off by magical barriers, they're sectioned off by the animals. Just like the forest in real life. Even if you manage to kill one scavenger, the rest of the pack will charge at you. I mean, just look at the way your character holds the sword. Oh god. This is how Gothic sections off difficult areas to the player. The deeper you go, the more dangerous the threat. You can technically outrun some of the enemies by abusing their AI, but eventually you'll have to take these guys on, and you'll need to be prepared to do so. This is the magic of Gothic. Despite being trapped in a magical dome, you're free to explore the world and progress how you see fit. But ideally you shouldn't be. In many games, decision fatigue comes into effect when players are presented with an overwhelming amount of choice. When presented with choice, players will always choose to strategize what quests they should prioritize first with the limited time they have. Gothic solves this issue of overwhelming choice by gating off areas with fights, creating a funnel to guide players without overwhelming them. The cool thing about these animals is that they aren't mindless beasts too. They've got a pretty basic but effective AI to them. When you approach a pack of animals, they scream at you to back away. When it's nighttime, the pack may be sleeping, but one creature will be standing watch. The more dangerous creatures in late game slowly prowl towards you when they spot you. Some animals can even be seen fighting each other in the wild. It's such a small touch that makes these blocky facsimiles of animals feel more realistic. Same goes for human NPCs too. Have your weapon drawn out for too long, and they'll engage in combat, and if they beat you, they steal your ore. Speaking of humans, Okay, maybe we shouldn't go to the forest. So let's go to one of the camps. Naturally, being the first big settlement you see, you go to the old camp. Diego's here after all. He said he would set us up with a nice deal. Here we can learn about the social structures of the camp. First, there are the Ore Barons. We can guess that these guys helped Gomez during the rebellion and are his most trusted men. Beside the Ore Barons are the Fire Mages. Their skill in magic makes them incredibly powerful and useful assets to Gomez. Below them, the Guards, the main fighting force of the old camp. Second lowest on the totem are the Shadows. These guys have a variety of jobs: scouts, thieves, traders, assassins. Diego is a Shadow and is the de facto leader of the team. And at the bottom of the hierarchy are the Diggers, miners who spend their days digging for ore in the old mine. By this point in the game, we are at the level of a digger, and the inmates in the old camp will constantly remind you where you stand. The Guards, the Shadows, even other diggers, are a damn meat bug to them. Everyone is out to exploit you. The most famous example is the Amulet quest. Early on, you'll be shaken down by a guard named Bloodwind, and just a bit later, you get a quest from a random inmate to earn some cash. Obviously, you take it. Okay, this should be nice and easy.
So, here we are, far away from your friend Diego. I'm to send you regards from Bloodwind.
Wait, what? No. Like I said, everyone is out to exploit you. Okay, this place sucks. What about the other two camps? The new camp's a bit more widespread compared to the old camp. Everything here looks a lot more makeshift. The new camp are led by the Water Mages and a guy named Lee, who we later learn was a general in the king's army. There are a couple interesting figures here. Most of the ore from the new camp is put toward a giant pile underneath the camp. Why are they doing this? Well, besides being used to make weapons, the magic ore can release energy when affected by magic. Think of it like a giant EMP. This all sounds nice at first, but the first thing we see when entering the new camp is a rice field. And let's just say a lot of these guys aren't working here at their own free will. The guards claim they don't discriminate like in the new camp, but they're just as paranoid about outsiders as the old camp. And the Water Mage's plan to get everyone out is to just nuke the barrier with as much magic ore as possible, Simpsons movie style. That just leaves the sect camp, or the swamp camp as stated by some. Unlike the new camp, which talk about freedom and autonomy, the sect camp kinda lives up to that. Folks are left to do what they want, smoke as much weed as they desire, as long as they chip in to help with the camp's maintenance. The sect camp want to make contact with their ancient deity, called the Sleeper, which promises to destroy the barrier once it awakens from its slumber. I'll say it now, I'm a sect camp apologist, and I don't even like smoking weed. It just feels like a more chill community to be a part of. Sure, the swamp has more dangerous wildlife than the areas around the other camps, but hey, good food and free pot. Now, after describing all these factions, you must think, wow, all these camps suck in their own ways. But that's kind of what I like about them. These camps feel like products of their environment, like this is what actual prisoners would do in a situation like this. One group stages a coup and becomes a new establishment, the other seeks a means of escape, and the last turns to religion. They aren't wacky fantasy factions meant to be eye-catching or cool, they're incredibly mundane and rather boring. That makes me like them a lot more, and that makes the more fantastical elements of their camp much more interesting. It makes this fantasy world feel more lived in, like, yeah, there's this massive war between the humans and the orcs, and here they are, just chilling. By putting more emphasis on player immersion, players are able to engage more with the game. And Gothic succeeds by making its factions believable and realistic. By the way, did I mention that you can learn magic in this game?